The oldest landscapes often look quiet, worn out, and empty. A low, weathered ridge, a gravel bench above a stream, a valley floor that seems ordinary, an old slope of broken stone, a terrace with no water running across it now, a mountain country that feels as though its greatest days are long behind it. To most people, old ground can seem finished, as if whatever mattered there has already passed. But geology sees something else. It sees memory. And some of the deepest clues to hidden wealth still survive in the parts of the earth that time has not fully erased. That is what this video is about. What the oldest landscapes still remember about hidden wealth. Because old landscapes are not dead scenery. They are exposed records. Records of pressure, of fracture, of buried heat, of moving fluids, of erosion, of rivers that no longer run where they once did, of material that was released, moved, sorted, and preserved long before the present world took its current shape. That is why the oldest landscapes still matter so much. Not because old ground is automatically rich, but because old ground often preserves more of the long story. And the longer the story, the more chance there is that the land still carries the memory of how hidden value was formed, moved, and left behind. This is the first thing worth understanding. The oldest landscapes are not empty because they are old. They are often more revealing because they are old. Time has stripped them down, cut into them, weathered them, exposed them. The younger landscape may still hide too much. The older landscape may have already lost enough cover to begin showing the deeper structure beneath. That is why age matters. Old ground is often more readable. Not always easier, not always richer, but more readable. And what it reveals first is structure. The oldest landscapes still remember where the earth once broke. This matters enormously. Faults, fractures, shears, veins, contacts between rock bodies, broken belts of stone, zones where rock once opened enough for deeper processes to move through. These are not random scars in the land. They are memory written into rock. The surface may be weathered now. The mountain may be lower than it once was. The ridge may look softened by time. But if the ancient structure remains visible, then the old landscape is still telling you where the earth was once under stress and where hidden pathways may have existed beneath it. That is important because valuable mineral systems rarely begin in untouched, sealed rock. They often begin in weakness, in the places where the crust could break, in the places where fluids could move, in the places where heat, pressure, and chemistry could act through structure instead of against it. That means structure is memory. An old fracture zone is not only an old break, it is a reminder that something once had access to the rock there. And that leads to the next thing the oldest landscapes still remember. They remember buried heat, pressure, and mineral formation. This is one of the deepest truths in geology. The valuable things people find at the surface rarely began at the surface. Gold did not begin as loose flakes in a creek. Quartz did not begin as broken white fragments on a slope. Heavy minerals and gravels did not begin in the gravel itself. Gem-bearing material did not begin as a scattered surface clue. These things often began deep below, under heat, under pressure, within buried rock. Inside hydrothermal systems, inside a crust that was being broken, altered, and chemically changed in ways the modern landscape only hints at now. That is why old landscapes are so revealing. They often expose the surviving remains of these older systems. A quartz vein crossing weathered rock, an altered belt stained by oxidation, a broken slope shedding the same mineral-bearing fragments, a ridge with repeated structure that seems too coherent to be random. These are not simply surface details. They are evidence that the land remembers a deeper world. A world where fluids moved through broken rock, where minerals were deposited, where heat did its work far below the open air. The landscape may be quiet now, but the processes that shaped it were not quiet. And that is why hidden wealth so often belongs to deep time. This does not only apply to gold. That is another important part of the story. The oldest landscapes often remember more than one kind of hidden value. Quartz, crystals, heavy minerals, metal-bearing rock, altered zones, gem gravels farther downslope, ancient source areas that fed later transport systems. What looks like one old mountain country may actually preserve the remains of several related mineral stories at once. That is why old terrain can feel so rich in implication. Not because every old ridge contains treasure, but because the same broader geological conditions that once allowed one kind of mineral system to form may also have allowed others. Broken structure, fluid pathways, altered host rock, long exposure through erosion, repeated release through weathering, transport into lower systems. That combination can create a landscape where the signs of hidden wealth are spread across rock, slope, gravel, and drainage together. And this is where old landscapes begin remembering ancient water. Because the story of hidden wealth does not stop where the mineral system formed. Once the rock is exposed and begins breaking down, the land starts moving the evidence. Erosion reveals. Weathering releases. Slopes shed fragments. Gullies gather them. Rivers sort them. Gravels preserve them. This is the next major memory old landscapes still carry. They remember where water once moved. Not just the water we see now. Older water, earlier drainages, ancient channels, higher terraces, benches above the present stream, rounded gravels stranded in places current flow no longer reaches. These things matter because they show that old landscapes still preserve the work of older transport systems. The oldest ground may remember not only where minerals formed, but where they were later carried, sorted, and preserved. That is especially important in gold country, because gold is not only about formation, it is also about movement and survival. A mineral system in rock is one chapter. A released fragment on a slope is another. A river that sorts the heavy material is another. A gravel body that preserves the result is yet another. The oldest landscapes often remember all of these chapters together. That is why they matter so much. The old mountain remembers the fracture and fluid history. The slope remembers release. The terrace remembers transport. The gravel remembers sorting. The modern creek remembers only the latest stage. That is what makes old landscapes so powerful for reading hidden wealth. They preserve multiple parts of the same story, and they often preserve them side by side. This is where the idea of preservation becomes essential, because hidden wealth does not survive everywhere equally well. Some landscapes move material through too aggressively. Some expose but do not preserve. Some release but do not trap. Some show fresh activity but little long-term memory. The oldest landscapes that matter most are often the ones where release, transport, and preservation all happened in ways that left something behind. That is a major distinction. A mountain may have once held mineralized structure, but if erosion scattered everything beyond recognition and no lower ground preserved the result, then the story becomes harder to read. But where old gravel survived, where benches remained, where ancient channels were not fully erased, where compact lower layers still exist, where heavy materials continue appearing in logical places, the landscape begins remembering more clearly. That is what makes older terrain so valuable to understanding. It often preserves the agreement between different parts of the story. Old fractured rock above, released fragments downslope, older gravels below, terraces marking ancient water levels, heavy materials appearing where old sorting would have favored them. Now the story is no longer isolated. Now it becomes coherent. And coherence is one of the strongest signs that an old landscape is still remembering something real. That is another reason the oldest landscapes can reveal hidden wealth more clearly than younger ones. Not because they are automatically richer, but because time has often exposed more of the chain. The deep structure is more visible. The old water paths are more readable. The terraces have had time to emerge. The younger cover may have been stripped away. The inherited logic of the land becomes easier to trace. This is why age can increase geological clarity. Young ground may still be covered. Old ground may be worn enough to speak. That is a powerful idea, because it means weathered land is not always exhausted land. Sometimes it is land that has finally become understandable. That is one reason old mountain country, old valleys, old gravels, and old benches matter so much in geology. They show what time has chosen not to erase, and what time does not erase often matters more than people think. A terrace with compact rounded gravels above a stream, a belt of altered rock on an old ridge, quartz fragments repeating below a broken outcrop, heavy minerals in a lower gravel body, a present creek cutting through older material that clearly belongs to an earlier system. These are not random relics. They are the memory of hidden wealth written across the land. And perhaps that is the deepest lesson in this entire subject. Hidden wealth is not only hidden in the earth, it is also hidden in the memory of the landscape, in the things the land has managed to keep, in the structures it still shows, in the gravels it still preserves, in the old channels it never fully erased, in the weathered mountain country that still reveals what once moved through it. That is why geology is not only the study of rocks, it is the study of memory, the study of what the earth still remembers about processes too old to witness directly. And the oldest landscapes are often among the best teachers because they have lived through more of the story. They have been broken longer, exposed longer, eroded longer, sorted longer, preserved longer. They do not only show us what survives, they show us what mattered enough to survive. That may be the most important difference of all, because not every sign remains. Not every part of the old world survives equally. What is still visible now is the part of the story strong enough, repeated enough, or protected enough to endure. That is why the oldest landscapes can still point toward hidden wealth today. Not because they are magical, because they are selective. Time removed much of the noise. What remains is often the stronger logic. The old fracture still visible, the old terrace still preserved, the old gravel still compact, the old channel still legible, the old mountain still shedding the same clues into the ground below. That is why these landscapes deserve respect. They are not empty remains of the past. They are the surviving memory of how the earth built, moved, exposed, and preserved hidden value over immense spans of time. And that is why they still matter now. So if there is one truth worth carrying away from this entire subject, it is this. The oldest landscapes are not only what remains after everything important is gone. They are often where the earth still remembers most clearly how hidden wealth was formed, moved, and left behind. If you enjoy thoughtful videos about gold, geology, old landscapes, hidden minerals, and the deep history still written into the land, please subscribe to the channel. Because once you begin reading the memory of old ground, the landscape stops looking empty. It starts looking ancient, deliberate, and far more revealing than it first appeared.